Happy Wednesday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Wednesday, December 6th, 2023. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are starting our day off with today is 10 of Wands in its completion. I love it when a nice cycle comes to a close, feeling that point of a burden being removed, having a point of easement coming in. We like to see this, guys. I know the energy has been pretty heavy over the last few days, but this is that moment of, again, feeling a bit of that point of easement coming in. Masculine and feminine. Some of this is potentially happening right now, masculine, as you see the fact that whatever the feminine's been carrying over the last few days, you may have saw a little bit of a break point in it yesterday. You may have felt, you just like tangibly felt, even if the feminine wasn't articulating on what they were going through right now, that sense or that space of easement. Okay? This is that point of masculine, again, and I hate to say it like this because I don't mean to engender it in this way, but for the masculine energy, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, this is almost going to feel like that moment of feeling like happy wife, happy life kind of moment, because this is a moment of masculine, seeing the feminine coming into a point of easement and almost immediately matching that vibration. Again, not feeling like you need to walk on eggshells to a certain extent, just almost feeling that sense of calm that's coming back into circumstances and situations right now. Feminine, we see here that even if you're in partnership right now, this is that clearing of whatever you've been going through right now that's been causing you to have that feeling. We saw here for feminine a lot of these past traumas or triggers rising to the surface right now. But what we effectively like to see in this modality is feminine has been doing a lot of that internal work to clear that energy to a certain extent, which is also why we see that point of easement's coming in. I'll also stress that for the energy right now that's in divine union and partnership, that point of masculine, and this is almost, again, masculine not even recognizing potentially that they were helping the feminine through this to a certain extent, because this is almost a masculine might be getting a feminine right now saying like, thank you for all your help over the last few days, and masculine almost saying to a certain extent, I didn't do anything. And feminine saying, of course you did, because the feminine didn't need the masculine to take an activation point on this. They just almost needed to know that they were there. They needed to have that security and stability of knowing that at a moment's notice, a masculine was able to step in and assist, but not necessarily needing them to. That was the power of the divine union coming into motion. Again, I told you, when it's working well, you don't have to put a lot of work into it. You don't have to grease it. You just have to like tap it to a certain extent. Feminine was effectively having that because, again, it's the energy of consistent masculine that's almost effectively giving the same message that's happening on the other frequencies, saying, I'm here. I've got you. Even if you don't need me, I've got you. Masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union right now, this is just like dropping things on the wayside. This is just leaving some things undone. This is a lot of that like, poof, where did they go kind of energy. Because what we're effectively identifying right now is for a lot of this masculine and feminine energy, this is the divine union that is like calling all of their energy and attention towards it right now. That coming into divine union effectively is, again, creating this space or place where you just don't care about a bunch of stuff anymore. It's not that it's lost its importance. It's almost like, again, something that, again, for both energies, things that may have felt a few days ago or even a few weeks ago, like they were optimizing all of your time, effort, energy, and attention, you couldn't give less. You couldn't give less. And you're almost, again, perfectly happy with letting anything go right now that feels like it's just creating too great of a burden. Feminine energy in separation right now. This is the feminine energy clearing the cycle. This is the feminine energy as we identified and articulated, clearing that cycle to a certain degree, because what has the feminine energy been doing over the last couple, like especially yesterday, to help them through some moments that felt like they were triggering, through some moments that felt like they were activating the feminine to have some of those moments that feel like they were calling them back to past circumstances and situations. Feminine was clearing that karmic burden by having the cold water of reality that they were putting on circumstances and situations right now. This is feminine, again, not looking at things from a fantastic perspective, from an aspirational perspective, utilizing the tangible facts at hand to kind of give themselves a bit of a wake-up call, reminding themselves not what they imagine or aspire or desire something to be, but what something actually was. And for a lot of the feminine energy in this modality right now, this is literally one of those moments that like had to be like a little bit of a replacement work, because again, if this was a masculine energy that you were effectively moving away from, that you're feeling like that consistency wasn't there, that point of articulating and amplifying the inconsistency is exactly how you're healing from it. Because we almost see that the feminine, even if there were moments where you're having a positive come up, you were immediately remembering the negative. And if the positive came up, you were immediately remembering the negative. And it was that amplification of something that, again, wasn't coming through from a consistent frequency. What was always feeling like it was like a one-up, like there wasn't the point of ever recognizing whether something was going to be positive or negative. This is effectively the feminine recognizing that that is a sign that that is not bringing you into your manifestation goal. The inconsistency is the key. The inconsistency is where the harm was coming from. And we see here that this is how the feminine energy is observing and recognizing this right now to help close any of these karmic cycles or these burdens that they were carrying, trying to release the grief so that they can continue to move forward towards the vibration that they're aspiring for. Masculine energy in separation right now, you might be observing the fact that you had some inconsistencies in the past that may have been leading you to where you find yourself right now. This could be a moment for the masculine energy. Again, you are also having these moments of completion. And again, for masculine energy in separation right now, this is that moment that is basically helping you identify and clear, to look at something right now and recognize whether this is something that you feel that you can go back to heal, that you have healed enough that you're able to go back to something, and recognizing that things are going to be easier now because you know what you need to do and adjust and accommodate for to change it. Or this is a moment that you are releasing that. You are coming into a moment of, again, if this is something that you're looking at and you're feeling like there's been too much damage, there's been too much difficulty, there's too many hurdles here, then this is something that, again, this is potentially something that you are releasing. But again, it feels a little bit more painful because it's a point of observation that what you're releasing right now feels like it came at a great cost. You had to let go of something that potentially you're now recognizing was a point of value, but also potentially feeling like, again, this is like almost like a gift that's been bestowed to you in something, but that knowledge of the self came at a very high price. Continuing to go forward on these cards right now, second card in our 5-card spread for today is, we've got here our 6 of Wands in its reversal. Now, masculine and feminine, if in divine union and partnership right now, this is one of those moments that, again, it's feeling like a point of easement. It is feeling like a point of catharsis. And to a certain extent, one of the things that's happening right now for masculine and feminine energy, if in divine union and partnership, is almost this feeling of having to let some people down, let some energy around you down to a certain extent. But we're almost seeing and recognizing right now that it doesn't feel like it is that much of a big deal if you're in the divine union and partnership. Because again, for the energy in divine union and partnership right now, that point of success is the divine union. That point of success is the partnership. So for masculine and feminine right now, there may be this moment of, again, helping navigate some points right now that feel like you're navigating moments and spaces where you feel like you have to disappoint some of the energy around you right now. But at the same time, it's almost this moment that it doesn't feel like that great of a burden to carry because you're doing it mutually right now. It's being able to move or operate in that space or place right now that almost allows and permits this ability to navigate any of these hurdles in a way that doesn't feel like you're doing it in isolation. This is that moment of, again, sharing not just like the burdens, but sharing the joys, but also like, again, if something isn't moving in the direction that you're effectively aspiring or desiring it to, the divine union is giving you that kind of comfort point in just feeling the ease and just letting it go. It's not having the importance or significance to such an extent right now because it's not necessarily something that you feel like is mattering. And for masculine and feminine right now, one of the things that we see that the divine union energy is doing for one another is helping to identify anything that the other energy has been carrying that has become too great a burden, to actually look at something with a point of refinement and say, does this have a productive outcome here? Is this something that's going to change and move into something that feels like it's productive? Or is this something that just needs to be released because it's becoming too great of a burden? Masculine and feminine that are moving into divine union at this time, this is effectively what we're seeing about the fact that, again, the divine union energy itself, as the divine union is picking up, it's almost that environment of, again, feeling like you're going to have to disappoint a lot of energy right now, but again, not necessarily caring that you are. It's, again, the priorities are shifting. So it's almost this moment that, again, even if you're moving in a space or place right now where it's not necessarily even the fact that everyone is kind of aligned to you moving into divine union to a certain extent, it's almost like that who cares mentality, because, again, it's not that you're moving into divine union to please other energy. You're doing it because the divine union is almost becoming its own energetic frequency right now. And it's that recognition point that, like, again, it's not necessarily going to work in everyone's favor, nor should it have to. That's not how a divine union works. Masculine and feminine right now that are in separation, this is how feminine is clearing any of these unhealed karmic energies that have been holding them back from moving into divine union right now, because this is the feminine energy right now. It's the unburdening themselves of situations and circumstances by, again, recognizing that if there was a success point in it, if there was a success metric, it would be present. If something was working, it would just be working. If something was working, it would just be working. And this is also feminine, almost acknowledging to a certain extent a feeling of having done everything that they could effectively do in some situations and circumstances. And the only thing we see right now for some of the feminine energy that's in this modality right now is, again, that moment of personal accountability and reference, potentially looking at things right now to ask themselves if there is something that they would do differently given the context of where they find themselves now. Or if this is a moment that they are validating that everything that they tried to do to bring something into a success metric did not work. That is feminine, again, releasing the karmic burden with the plain reality of a fact of feeling like they not only did everything that they could do, but also that there wasn't any possibility of it moving into a success metric, because this is, again, more of that feminine energy washing their hands to a certain extent and feeling like they did everything that could be done to a certain extent. Masculine. And again, this is going to feel a little bit like heavy energy for feminine and separation right now, because this is not a moment of feminine throwing a party about this. This isn't a feminine energy being like, yay, I'm so glad I'm clearing this karmic burden. This is feminine energy feeling the sadness. You know, it's cathartic. But again, it's almost that feeling of surrender for a feminine, feeling like, again, they've done everything that they can do. And it's not that they're proceeding forward right now excited about being in this position, but it's more of that sense of resolve that is pushing the feminine forward at this point. The resolve in terms of having that metric of success is what is helping to amplify and drive this energy forward. Masculine energy in separation right now, this is that moment that we see, because for a lot of the masculine energy in separation right now, there is this moment in terms of assessing and questioning oneself about which direction that you are going to move towards right now, having this resolve, having this new renewed commitment right now, having that point of recognizing what you need to change in the self, or what you will be changing in the self as it relates to going forward, because you've seen something potentially about yourself that you need to modify and adjust your behavior for. This is not a bell you can unring. This is something that, once seen in the self, needs to be accounted for in some way, shape, or fashion. At least, if not even in this, in being a point of personal accountability, but having some point of recognition in terms of feeling like you are being misunderstood. Masculine energy right now in separation, this is either a moment that we see that you are utilizing this moment to either, again, go back to situations or circumstances to be able to come into a point of accountability in terms of identifying what you could change and amend and fix, feeling like there is that point of positive success because of that self-understanding. Or this is a moment that you are releasing that karmic burden. You are letting yourself be able to go forward right now with a sense or a feeling, having done some kind of internal calculus, feeling like there isn't a possibility of correcting or fixing for something here. This is, again, that forward or backward mentality. One of them is going to feel like a lot of tenacity in trying to come into a point of being seen in a bit better light. And for some of the masculine energy right now, this could just be cathartic enough to want to heal or mend some fences right now as it relates to how you feel like you may have been misperceived. For other energy right now, this is a moment that may feel like a lot of sadness or like grim resolve coming in, because this is a moment where you're looking at something and you are feeling, you're almost stopping yourself before you start. You're almost going into this narrative right now of feeling like there isn't something that feels like there's any hope here. It's almost building this sense of like created hopelessness for yourself around circumstances or situations, because what's really happening is it is looking at all of the work that you would have to do to amend something and feeling like the burden is too heavy. And so that is just a burden you're releasing, but with a lot of sadness as you do so. Center card for today's spread is healing. We like to see this card in this position, because this does say that today is a day of healing. Today is going to feel like a lot of catharsis coming in to situations and circumstances. Masculine and feminine that are in divine union and partnership, this is the healing that happens in that divine union and partnership. Look, it's not that you go into divine union and partnership and everything is easy peasy. It's hard. There are days that are disappointing. There's some things that are harder than others. There are mutual disappointments and setbacks that are handled and navigated. And we see here that today, one of the things that we see that is going to be very valuable in this moment is helping each other through any of those feelings of hurdles or setbacks along the way. Feminine is almost coming into a state or space of recovery. Feminine has been doing this internally for days. Remember what I said about that moment of the feminine going through that period internally, even in divine union and partnership right now? This is feminine mending their own fences within the self to a certain extent, looking at situations again with the optics of clarity, healing those past traumas, coming into that point of healing, but feeling that point of catharsis if in divine union right now as they proceed forward from this point. For masculine right now, this is also a moment that you've been mirroring the feminine in this modality. You have also been going through a period right now that, again, it's not that things are easy. It is hard, but it is that supportive system that you've created in the divine union itself that is amplifying that you are on a healing journey. And it is that sense of mutual healing that is really almost continuing to build that connective tissue right now for the energy in divine union and partnership. And it's potentially even coming right now from a lot of expression around some of those disappointments, around some of that shared grief. These aren't moments right now that we see that are utilized as holding anything against the other person. It's more of that moment of being able to leave that sense of having that point of vulnerability, being able to share in what has kind of led you to this point, and feeling like the partnership itself allows you this space or place to articulate upon your own grief without feeling like it is a zone of judgment, but more of a place and center of healing. Masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union. This is also why we see that there could be a little bit of a I don't give up attitude that's coming in right now for any energy around you that feels like it is creating a hurdle or setback for coming into divine union. Because what we're effectively identifying right now for the energy coming into divine union is, again, this feeling or this point of acknowledgement that this divine union frequency that you're moving into so hastily may have to consequentially disappoint some energy around you. The important thing is neither energy, these energies are mirroring each other. Masculine and feminine don't really care. Masculine and feminine are almost looking about any energy that feels like they're oppositional to the energy coming into separation and almost saying like that's the point that needs to be released. That is the sign of something that needs to be let go. And masculine and feminine are almost looking at this right now as, again, if that these energies are trying to come into divine union and there's anyone that has an issue or problem with it, this is almost masculine and feminine saying, well, that's just like good riddance here to a certain extent. That's clearly what we need to heal. That's clearly what we need to heal, because this is almost masculine and feminine right now, moving into this divine union frequency, almost articulating to the energy around them if they're moving them into a space of disappointment, either again coming in and trying to explain to others that this is where they are, and again trying to articulate that wasn't meant to hurt anybody, but again, this is someone moving in the realm of their own, what they feel is best for them. So there could be a lot of this energy right now, if moving into divine union, amplifying and feeling like they almost need to defend to others right now, that union energy is actually something that is incredibly restorative, and it's going to potentially could even create some unhealed karmic energy around the divine unions right now, because this is almost energy that feels to a certain extent that they have to defend the union from energy that may not necessarily, if again, it's almost observations or optics, that any energy that feels like it is oppositional to the union doesn't necessarily feel like it has the best interest of the energy at stake, because the energy is trying to amplify that this is a space or place that feels best for them to be. Masculine and feminine that are moving, they're in separation right now. This is feminine going through their own personal healing process. This is feminine like fast tracking a dark night of the soul. This has been happening over the course of like weeks. Feminine's going through this a lot faster than they typically would. Feminine's getting really good at healing like this. Feminine energy in this modality. We see that for the feminine energy in this modality right now, this is feminine energy with that cold water effect. Again, allowing the reality of situations and circumstances almost immediately to guide their healing path. Because feminine energy isn't holding on to things for the sake or the hope that something can get better. Feminine is releasing something with the statement of effectively saying, if it could get better, it would be better. If it could get better, it would be better. And this for the feminine is, again, looking at the facts at hand, validating that if they haven't seen any point of improvement on something, and feminine has felt like they've done everything that they can in this modality, this is just reaffirming the feminine in terms of the direction they're going in. Because this is feminine literally saying, if it was healing, I would see it. If it had healed, I would see it. This is a feminine saying, I don't need to carry this waiting for something to heal. When it is ready, it will appear to me as healed. And until that happens, feminine is continuing forward on their journey, because this release process is effectively refusing to carry the weight of something that doesn't appreciate the effort or energy that feminine has tried to put into trying to heal something. Masculine energy in separation right now, what we are effectively seeing is this is also a healing journey for you right now, because again, this is either going back to situations and circumstances, feeling now that you know what you need to bring to them to bring the healing in, or this is you effectively going through a release process that is going to feel a lot like grieving, but a lot of catharsis being brought into this right now, in acknowledging and feeling like there isn't something that you feel any possibility of changing, or that it's going to be too hard to change. And that is that moment that is also creating catharsis, because this is almost that moment that you're giving yourself permission to move forward as well. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is 8 of Swords. Now, this is very interesting because, again, for the energy in divine union and partnership right now, this is that moment that is really amplifying and articulating what feels like it is helpful and healing and productive versus what feels like it is limiting. And I need to stress that for some of the energies right now in divine union and partnership, this could be a moment of feeling like you have to deal with a lot of external issues, putting, again, some weight on the divine union itself. Because, again, there's almost a moment that we are seeing here that has to do with the realms of perception. Masculine and feminine right now are looking with a lot of attention on limiting beliefs of the self, working to effectively heal them right now. Feminine has been doing this for like the last week or so. Masculine has been seeing feminine in this modality as well. Both energies right now are dealing with situations and circumstances that feel like they are potentially frustrating. This is, again, guys, we're moving into the shadow of the Mercury retrograde. I'm not surprised to see this right now. There are hurdles that are potentially popping up right now, things that create states and spaces of frustration, potentially even some setbacks or delays that are already starting to shine their head. Remember how I said that this energy of the divine union was almost getting ahead of themselves in preparing for this type of stuff? But we see here the energy of divine union, it is bearing that weight together. It is making it easier, if you will. There is a moment right now that, again, is almost this point of observation in terms of the divine union. And this is the masculine and feminine energy in divine union right now, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Looking at things right now and seeing if there's a possibility of success around things, or if they're just going to create more setbacks. This is feminine and masculine in divine union, almost getting very like taking a very binary attitude as it relates to any of these setbacks and hurdles, because more than anything, it's not a moment that they're allowing themselves to be overwhelmed by them. It's almost just a moment of saying, is this a changeable problem? Is this something that can be corrected for? Or is this something that is going to continue to be in this modality going forward and we just need to release it? Masculine and feminine that are in divine union and partnership or coming into divine union, you're taking that same exact opinion right now as it relates to any energy around the divine union partnership that may have something to say about the divine union or partnership. There is something right now all about potential optics, and there may even be a lot of weight right now of the energies coming into divine union and feeling like not all the energy around you is like on board for it, or it may not necessarily be like as open or agreeable to the divine union you're moving into right now. But again, this is literally a moment that shift of perception is now coming in as it relates to feeling like there's a point of wanting to protect the union. And this is almost a moment of observation right now that potentially some of the energy coming into divine union is having right now, which is almost this moment of saying, well, of course, someone is going to not necessarily be pro the divine union. It feels like it limits them. The divine union isn't something that is effectively positive for all of the energy around them to a certain extent. It's something that potentially does not necessarily work to the benefit of those around them. So this is almost, again, for the energy in divine union, there's that point of observation in looking right now in terms of, again, seeing how the energy around you is navigating the fact that you're moving into divine union right now to really help reinforce whether you feel like there's something here that is going to be productive, or whether you're just going to feel further confirmation of letting something go because you're seeing it from the optics that if anyone has something that they're speaking negatively towards the divine union about, it's because the union itself doesn't serve their interests. So for the masculine and feminine in this modality right now, this could be something that is looking right now in terms of like asking oneself what feels like it is moving in a productive, positive way, or what is potentially causing something, having some kind of negativity on something that you recognize feels like it is positive and productive for you going forward. Masculine and feminine that are in separation right now, this is effectively why we see that the feminine is trying to release these karmic attachments. Because feminine in separation right now is, again, realizing that their healing is not, again, this is a feminine energy that may have been holding on to hope of something improving. But this is now a moment of feminine almost realizing and recognizing that holding that karmic weight, having a point of being patient and waiting for an energy to adjust, to accommodate, to change, it doesn't create a space or place for feminine to heal. It almost amplifies the fact that feminine is preventing their own healing journey. Because what we effectively see here is almost a feminine recognizing that an energy that is truly motivated, that is ready to heal, isn't going to wait to let a feminine know that. They're just going to articulate and amplify it to the feminine when they're ready. And for the feminine in this modality, this is feminine almost giving themselves permission to move forward right now. But it's hard because we see here that while the feminine is trying to release these things by utilizing those aspects of reality and attention and clarity, that aspiration of what something could have potentially been if it was in that healing modality is ever there. And feminine is almost recognizing that as something that they do need to carry with them going forward. This is almost feminine saying to themselves that they can't ever completely be free of that hope or that aspiration. But instead, what we see that feminine is doing is acknowledging that that is something that they can navigate in two modalities. They can be in a space and place where they can feel some of that sadness, but at the same time they can also amplify and remember that they're effectively moving away from something that was hurting to remain in. But it doesn't mean that it is easy for the feminine to do so. Masculine in separation right now, this is that moment that we see is also a point of deep catharsis that is coming into some circumstances and situations right now. And it all has to do with the direction that you're effectively moving in at this time. Because what we are effectively seeing for the masculine energy in this modality right now is you are ready to come into this process of release. You want this healing to begin. But again, you are feeling This is going to feel a little bit more confining for the masculine energy in this modality right now, because again, you feel somewhat limited in terms of what to do. There is this questioning right now in what direction to move into right now that is going to allow this point of healing to come in. And this is why we see that for a lot of the masculine energy right now, this is either a moment of going forwards or backwards, trying to look at something right now and see if there is some possibility of healing that can be brought into situations and circumstances that you're still feeling very much connected to. Or if this is a moment that you're just at a point of feeling like, again, you have done everything that one can do. You've done everything you can do to heal something. You've taken every step or necessary action, in which case you're almost then giving yourself that permission of observing that you feel like your hands are tied in terms of being able to do anything that could effectively heal something at this point, in which case you are also proceeding on your healing journey. Fifth card in our 5-card spread that's fallen to the floor is our Two of Swords in its reversal. And we love to see this card in this position, because what we're effectively identifying at this moment is, again, masculine and feminine that are in divine union and partnership. There's a lot of activity potentially being spent today in making decisions. A day right now of a lot of decisions potentially being reached, specifically around circumstances and situations that, again, may have been creating these feelings of self-limitation around some of these situations or circumstances that may be feeling like they are causing too much difficulty or hurdles right now. But what we like about this is, again, this is moving things back into a practical space right now. A lot of the work that we've seen that's been happening right now in the divine union and partnerships has felt like it's more metaphysical. Today, we see a lot of this moving back into the realm of the practical. And that's going to have a lot to do with, like, again, looking at things. And for the masculine and feminine right now in divine union and partnership, this is a little bit of that brass tacks. Remember how I was describing yesterday that the masculine was kind of going around with a hammer looking for a nail? On the bright side, I feel like masculine, you're going to feel like there's a little bit more that you're going to be able to do today as it relates to some of these circumstances or situations. Because we see that for both energies right now, there is something about coming in to be able to bring in some healing, bring in some recovery. It is allowing you to take very tangible action right now, but it's starting from a point of observation around some things that feel like they need fixing. This is either, again, situations and circumstances that you've been looking at and feeling that self-limited belief on. This could be feminine almost opening up right now to masculine about what has had them so closed off for the last few days. Again, almost articulating. Feminine's now coming into that moment where they're able to start expressing something because they've basically already healed it. This is literally a feminine that wanted to, like, navigate through a problem within the self before they opened up to masculine about it, almost amplifying to the masculine, being like, I didn't want to tell you as I was going through it because I didn't want you to have that burden on you. I've already navigated it. I've already figured it out. I've already done that internal work on myself, if you will. Masculine, if in separation right now, you are finding spaces and places right now where you can actually, now that you're having that openness coming through, it's like you're almost saying to them, well, I can still help with that. There's something I can do with that. There's something I can help heal here. And this is a masculine feeling that relief to a certain extent, because again, even though there are problems here, masculine, you've been kind of preparing for these problems. You're like ready. You're ready to go. You're like almost in this moment right now where you're like, give me, like, again, I told you, you've been holding a hammer. Like, please give me something to do with this hammer. Masculine and feminine that are trying to come into divine union right now. What we are effectively seeing is, again, this is literally kind of a make or break moment where we see this is the ripple. What we're seeing here, this is the ripple of the divine union having an impact on the energy around the divine union. This is that moment of starting to having to deal with things outside the partnership itself that may need some accommodation point in relation to what is bringing forth right now with the divine union forming. And again, it may bring some points of difficulty. It may bring some hurdles that need to be encountered here. There's this point of observation, and we see that for the divine union energy, one of the productive things around this right now is, again, looking at things right now and determining whether it's your problem or not. It's not the fact we're seeing here that the divine union is something that's being met with joy in every fashion. It's almost looking right now and recognizing that there might be some energy around you right now that may not necessarily be as stoked about it. But it's also that point of observation and almost taking a note if there's energy around the divine union that seems like it's not necessarily in like feeling positive or beneficial. It's almost this point of the divine union having that point of mutual understanding right now, that there may be energy that feels like the divine union doesn't necessarily work for their interest. This could also be right now a moment that could be challenging for this divine union energy, because it could almost feel a little bit like someone trying to pour poison in the ear of the divine unions that are forming right now. So one of the things that's really important about this right now is whether this feels again like a unifying moment about energy having that divine union forming and being able to discuss this, or if this is a moment where someone is like allowing themselves to like feel the weight of someone trying to like bring a negative into something that was feeling very much like a positive. Almost like seeing that susceptibility point right now related to whether the divine union is actually going to form, or whether the energy around it is going to effectively be able to tear it apart because it doesn't suit their own interests. Masculine and feminine right now that are in separation. This is literally potentially some moments right now of feminine energy recognizing in separation the fact that some of the reason that the old divine unions didn't form was due to the fact that the energy around those circumstances or situations was susceptible to energy pouring poison in their ear as it relates to the divine union itself. This is that moment of acknowledgement of feminine almost reaffirming to themselves. It's not the fact that we see here that the feminine energy is moving through a moment right now of deep recovery. This is almost feminine energy having a lot of this recollection that's happening on the heels of the Mercury retrograde forming, that's giving feminine even more clarity the further someone gets away from something. This is feminine. I'm telling you this week, feminine's doing a lot of this reassessment right now on circumstances or situations, because feminine's own insight and optics are forming the further that they get away from something. And what we're effectively seeing at this time is feminine almost looking at situations and circumstances almost with a point of pity, potentially even seeing how some of the energy that they released was susceptible to the feminine being and the masculine being pulled apart. This is almost feminine, almost seeing that with a point of pity towards the energy in that way, but also reaffirming to them that if this was a masculine that could be pulled away from them in this way, then that's almost further confirmation to feminine, that feminine is making the right choice. Because this is a feminine that is, again, feeling that point of having done everything that one could do to a certain extent, but ultimately, it is not necessarily their job to effectively adjust or modify the opinion of another around them. It's simply their job to continue to move forward with integrity. And we see here that, again, the feminine energy is navigating and experiencing this right now. And it does feel like something that is hard for them because they're moving through that modality of recovering from their own healing journey, taking those necessary steps forward, but almost feeling, again, the weight of frustration of a game that feels like it was almost rigged against them to a certain extent, because this is full assessment around situations and circumstances from the past may not necessarily just involve the energy itself, but just kind of all of the unhealthy energy around someone. But this is further amplification for a feminine energy in this modality that, like, yeah, it matters who you choose to keep around you. And this is almost the feminine, almost reaffirming that not only is feminine moving away from some energy that didn't choose the feminine, but like anything that's connected to that masculine energy by association that would do that is almost further validation to the feminine on why something was not going to move into the space or place that they would effectively desire and aspire it to. This is feminine doing some I told you, this is some dark night of the soul energy that feminine's doing right now in separation, but it is a lot of unpacking to refold stuff up, to put it away. And this is how we see the feminine is doing this work right now. And it's a lot of fastidiousness. It's really pouring through situations and circumstances to get that deeper sense of understanding and clarity. Masculine in separation right now, you're getting the same moment. And again, the problem that we're effectively seeing right now is for masculine energy in this modality right now, you are potentially, again, having some different perspectives right now on some situations and circumstances that effectively happened around you right now. This could be that moment that you are also seeing something from a different perspective, because again, this is almost a moment that karmically, positively right now, some energy around you is trying to help you see the forest in your own trees. And recognizing this right now is almost a moment for masculine that may be feeling, again, much heavier, because this is potentially seeing some things that you didn't see around how you were limited in some facility or capacity in terms of doing something in a way that you would have ideally done it had it not been for some of the energy around you at the time that it occurred. This is masculine, again, not only taking the personal accountability right now, but also taking a personal accountability of your own susceptibility of the energy that's around you at this time. But we see here, and the beauty of this for the energy and separation of masculine right now, is it is reaffirming your own commitment in terms of your course of action going forward. It's looking right now at situations and circumstances with a lot of reality on the optics of the moment right now, but also some looking back on things and almost immediately wanting to take some present adjustments to accommodate for some situations and circumstances from the past now that you're seeing from different optics. Masculine and feminine, in continuing to get clarification on this, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, between our 10 of Wands in its reversal in combination with our 6 of Wands in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our King of Swords in its reversal. This is the same exact position that we saw that the energy in divine union was effectively happening yesterday. Masculine was in the same position yesterday. It's holding through again. Masculine energy, if you're in divine union right now, this is that weight. This is why masculine energy doesn't like to feel the emotions, right? Because masculine doesn't like to feel the emotions, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Because masculine can't do anything. This is almost a masculine almost saying to themselves right now, like that frustration point and feeling like the emotionality is frustrating. Because again, if you're holding a hammer, you can't you can't use a hammer on the nail of emotions. It's like when you feel them, it just makes you feel an overwhelm. It disempowers the masculine. This is almost the masculine, again, what did I say was happening over the last few days? It is the over amplification of the lessons that the other energy was teaching each other, trying to come into calibration. So we see here the masculine energy that's going through this mentality or modality right now. This is that feeling of, again, your emotions getting the better of you, feeling a bit of those emotionalities, not necessarily feeling like you have somewhere to put them. Potentially, again, experiencing this right now could be feeling like a point of overwhelm, because it's almost that feeling for masculine right now of feeling some anxiety, some doubt, some fears, some things that you can't tangibly adjust and accommodate for. You just have to experience. This is where the feminine is going to be able to come to the support of the masculine right now, especially in divine union and partnership. Please keep in mind, feminines, that masculine may need a little bit of emotional support right now, because we're effectively seeing that there's something here where, again, feminine, you may be recognizing that something is happening right now with the masculine that's almost like, it's bringing that anxiety, it's bringing that fear up to the surface, much like you've been experiencing over the last few days. Masculine's now also in that modality to a certain degree. So we're seeing here that for the energy right now in divine union and partnership, there's almost this moment of feminine effectively feeling like you need to come in and allow some healing here, doing what you can to help heal something around a masculine that, again, is almost feeling to a certain extent like a lot of this overwhelm that the feminine's been experiencing, having some aspect or impact on them right now in response. Masculine and feminine right now that are in divine or coming into divine union and partnership, this is the masculine. Again, if you're moving into divine union right now, this is the masculine looking at something right now and recognizing specifically that you may need to bring some disappointment to some situations and circumstances. And it might be feeling a little overwhelming, but masculine's just kind of throwing their hands up here of coming into divine union and saying, I can't do anything about it. It's just the nature of the situation. This is almost a masculine, again, if feeling that point. And I think that, again, there is this moment right now, and I need to stress this. I need to stress this right now. Please remember I said this. If this is a moment where masculine, if you are going around right now and you're telling people about this divine union forming, and there are people right now pouring some poison in your ear about it, or giving some negatives or some points of caution, for some of the masculine energy, this is going to start to impact your own confidence in something. For the other part of the masculine energy, you're going to observe this for what this potentially is, which is energy that doesn't feel like the forming of a divine union is in their best interest. So what are they doing? They're trying to make you question it. There's that point right now that's potentially happening where, again, masculine's own confidence moving forward right now is being challenged by some outside energy around the divine union forming that doesn't seem as thrilled about it as they would effectively aspire or desire to. I hate to break this to you, divine masculines. If you're moving into divine union, not everyone's going to have a party about it, especially if it doesn't necessarily work to their benefit. For masculine right now, again, that point of observation is effectively making or breaking. We're back in this make and break moment potentially for the divine union right now. This is why the feminine energy right now that's been moving into divine union has been so tight-lipped. Because feminine effectively saw the fact that there was a lot of energy around the masculine right now, and how masculine was navigating that was effectively potentially another hurdle that needs to be crossed right now as to whether these energies are moving into divine union. Whether masculine was going to be able to navigate these moments of feminine recognizing, feminine's used to this. Feminine energy recognizes that when they move into the divine union frequency, this is something that potentially arises. Feminine almost knows this within themselves, right? Feminine's been watching to see if the masculine is going to take this moment right now and pull away, letting those doubts and fears embody their own anxiety because of their own point of confidence, or if this is masculine that, again, is preserving the value of the divine union energy and saying, yeah, they didn't like that, but of course they wouldn't like it because I'm not as available to them right now. It's like whether masculine catches on to this or not is the big question right now. And we're seeing there that for some of the masculine energy in this modality right now, there's that point of recognizing it. And again, either the masculine doesn't care and is or this is masculine energy that potentially could be moving back into separation, because especially if you really lean on getting that sense of affirmation or from outside energy, this could be a moment where it's that point of feeling like other people not being completely huzzah about something is what is pulling you away from your own path of determination. Feminine energy that's in separation, this is exactly why you're in separation. Because again, this is feminine doing this work of feminine's doing that unpacking right now. And feminine's also looking at some spaces and places where feminine even feels maybe if the energy around the masculine had been more eager about them being in partnership, they would be together. But this is exactly why the feminine energy is letting this energy go, if that's the case. Because this is a feminine energy that's saying that this is a masculine energy that lacks potential integrity. What is integrity? Integrity is having a personal path that you traverse even if things around you are difficult. And so this is a feminine energy that is effectively saying, I have to release a masculine because that is a masculine who lacks the integrity to be able to hold on to the partnership and is more easily influenced by the energy around them that demolishes or abolishes their own ability to maintain a point of integrity. Divine unions are not something that is easy. It's something that you need to defend. And this is the feminine almost validating to themselves that if the masculine was inconsistent, it's because the masculine, again, would choose the energy around them as opposed to the divine union itself. And this is feminine saying, that's why feminine is letting this go, because regardless of lack of care, this is a feminine looking and saying, this energy doesn't understand what is necessary to have a divine union. Masculine energy, if you are in separation right now, this is that moment that you may be feeling that something here has shifted for you, and it has to do with your own perception around some of the energy that's around you right now. There could be a moment right now, masculine, that you may be observing this in some way, shape, or form, that something about this right now is, again, this moment that feels like a bit of a shift, because, again, it is potentially, especially if there was a moment that you were seeking that outside approval here, it's feeling like a lot of that energy is just gone. And this is that moment that we are effectively seeing right now, that for a lot of the masculine, I need to stress, if you're a masculine in separation right now, this could be something that you need a lot of support right now. And I want you to have a lot of strength on, because there is a moment right now that may be amplifying and articulating to you about looking about some situations and circumstances and feeling some level or degree of shame or sadness, or feeling something right now that feels akin to that, because there's this moment right now that, again, it's not just the fact of not feeling like you're in a place of positivity right now, but again, this is the double amplitude in terms of like not feeling like there's something here that may be feeling somewhat like a humbling experience that you're going through right now. But again, I also see that this is that observation around the self right now that is allowing for this opportunity or possibility of deeper change. But it is coming through right now for the masculine energy about like really having to have that point of recognition. I told you, this is going to feel almost like an internal reckoning to a certain extent right now. Because what's really happening is that moment that you're kind of seeing yourself from a different optics. And because you're seeing yourself from a different optics right now, you're seeing the energy around you from a different optics. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our Six of Wands in its reversal, in combination with our Three of Swords in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Is that transverse? That's transverse. Okay. Oh, wow. This is going to be one of those days, man. All about the connections. Okay. It's going to be all about the connections surrounding the partnerships and the individuals. Wow. Okay. Listen, masculine and feminine in divine union and partnership. This is that moment. There's a lot of energy around the partnerships right now. And I think that one of the problems is a lot of this is navigating a lot of these like outside obligations, outside responsibilities, what to look at right now. It's not that these spaces and places are in the easiest place. It's more a moment that we are effectively assessing and recognizing, especially as it relates to anything that feels like, you know, there's some uncertainty in relationships outside the partnerships. This could be friendships. This could be family. This could be any of those territories that were potentially fraught over the last few weeks. This is that moment of looking at things right now and really trying to identify if these are situations and circumstances that need to be moved away from or that can be healed. I told you the divine union allows for this space to do a little bit of this deeper work. We are seeing here, there may be a lot of conversations right now related to energy around the divine union right now to identify, especially if there is some feeling right now that feels like it is not, you know, if it's not negatively, it's like if there's some kind of like, you know, unpositive or unproductive energy coming towards the partnerships, to really assess and recognize if this is something that can be healed or if this is something that has to be released, because it feels to the divine union energy right now that, again, it is all about what feels like it is moving in that space or place of healing. The divine union energy, in a way, is looking at this right now and being like, well, this isn't going to like interrupt the divine union, but can these things be accommodated for? Can they be adjusted? Or do we just have to accept the matter at hand that those things are always going to be in that modality? Masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union right now, this is the weight of the energy around the partnership right now, putting weight on the forming of the divine union. Remember when I said the difference right now in how feminine and masculine has been handling this? Feminine's been holding it with kid gloves. Masculine's been rushing forward with it a lot more. This is why the feminine energy was holding it with kid gloves. This is why the feminine was trying to work very carefully and conscientiously on protecting it to a certain extent, because this is a feminine energy that is now feeling the significance and the danger that's now sometimes is inherent with energy outside of something, wanting to come in and interrupt it. This is the feminine. Almost the benefit for the feminine is feminine was almost anticipating that this was going to happen. Remember I said that the feminine was a little, to a certain extent, this is the feminine now kind of feeling the validation of that in some way. While for masculine right now, this is potentially feeling like some of the energy around you as this point of like the divine union taking shape is happening, that it's like coming through and it doesn't feel like it's as supportive as you may have expected. And that may even feel like a little bit of a shock right now. But again, for the masculine energy, one of two different modalities is happening right now. And it's either going to drive you into divine union or it's going to pop you back into separation. Either you're letting that energy of uncertainty, potentially even questioning, being like, are you sure that this is what you really want? Are you sure that's really what you want to do? Are you sure? If that energy pulls you out of the divine union frequency, well, guess what? You weren't sure. Because you're letting outside judgment and decisions affect your choice going forward. You're no longer in divine union. You let the doubt creep in. You let it come to you. Okay? Or this is masculine seeing that in that way. Almost masculine looking and being like, I wish you could be happy for me. I'm happy right now. If I'm happy and why are you trying to affect my happiness? Again, this is that moment where the test of the divine union is coming in from outside energy, putting that weight on it. And for some of the energy, I got to admit, it's going to pop you right back potentially into separation. And feminine is almost standing back and watching this to a certain extent. Feminine energy in this modality is much more eager, is like feminine sees this come. Feminine saw this coming from a million miles away. Feminine was ready for it. She's watching right now. Again, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Watching the masculine to see if masculine takes the bait on this or not. Feminine energy in separation. This is feminine having that reckoning and remembering that this actually happened. Like this just happened. Feminine's like, this either just happened recently. Again, feminine's watching this happen. It's popping them back into separation. Or this is feminine recalling that this happened. Feminine's looking at something and being like, yeah, not only was it an issue with them not standing in integrity, but also them being easily swayed by the energy around them. And for, again, the feminine looking at this right now is that moment that may be feeling or like really kind of amplified by a feeling of pity, because it could be feeling like someone can't necessarily see. They don't even see that potentially happened, but feminine can see it. And that's why feminine is continuing forward on their healing journey as they are continuing forward in separation. Because feminine's almost amplifying to themselves to a certain extent that feminine can't be in a modality with an energy that can't navigate like holding their own integrity in the face of energy around them that always has their own opinion or their own agenda. Masculine in separation right now. There's something about being in separation right now that could feel to a certain degree somewhat isolating. Because again, masculine energy in separation right now, there's something about the energy around you that to a certain extent, it feels like there's been some kind of shift. This shift that's been happening, it's not just happening on an internal level right now, masculine, you're feeling that the energy around you's kind of shifted. Because again, what has effectively happened over the last few days? Masculine, you've been getting some messages from outside energy right now that's been changing your own ability to see oneself to a certain extent. But now it's almost this moment of looking at the energy around you and also feeling like that point of internal questioning. And some of it has to be, and again, this is almost like it's going to feel a little bit like a lesson that's going through the halls of your own past, because this is now almost a masculine energy. If you're just getting this message, this is masculine going through this eye-opening process of being like, if energy could see this in me now, then they could see it in me in the past. And if the energy could see it in the past, why didn't anyone say anything? What was going on? This is almost now leading right now to a moment of the masculine coming into observation of something in their own self. And that point of observation in their own self is now remembering and recalling that other energy may have seen this in the past, and it is now taking this moment of reassessment of situations and circumstances from the past with the optics of what has been shown presently. So this is almost why we see, for a lot of the masculine energy in this modality right now, I need to stress, it's almost coming through right now as a feeling of a lot of questioning of potentially some of the energy around you, because this is almost a moment that we are identifying that you are seeing something about your own self. And it's that observation point that is now recalibrating some situations and circumstances that may have happened in the past that didn't necessarily make as much sense to you. It's building that sense of understanding. The clarity of the self now is almost retroactively coming in to give that point of insight. This is what wisdom does. This is what wisdom does. This is not just that wisdom of the self. It's wisdom in seeing situations from a different perspective. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our 3 of Swords in its reversal in combination with our 8 of Swords. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Magician energy. So we like this. This is a nice breakthrough moment. Masculine and feminine energy in divine union and partnership. What we're effectively seeing at this time is this moment that, again, this healing, this mutual sense of healing is, again, it's a point of observation in what feels like it is limiting versus what feels like it can have the capacity to heal. Masculine and feminine are utilizing this right now to bring things into a point of activation. This is, again, whatever's been feeling like we've been seeing a lot of this energy over this week that's been feeling a little bit more internal. This is about actually putting a lot of effort and energy into things right now. But it starts with recognizing the blockages, to see and identify what the blockage is to be in order to heal it so that you guys can move forward together to move as effectively as possible, to let that limitation get alchemized into an activation point. But it starts by observing the hurdle. Masculine and feminine, again, coming into divine union. This is that make or break point coming in again, because again, this is almost the masculine energy. This is the energy right now, masculine and feminine. This is the partnership or union being tested, because again, what is the test? This is about the perception on whether you're going to look at it like the divine union is limiting you, it's restricting you, it's cutting off your options. You may even have some energy around you right now being like, are you sure you want to do that? Cutting off your options. And this is that moment that is amplifying, again, whether you're going to say, I guess you're right, maybe I am cutting off my options, maybe I should reconsider this, letting yourself be swayed by the crowd, if you will. Or if this is you looking at it and being like, I see what you're trying to do. I know. It looks to you like I'm cutting off my options. It looks to you like I'm moving into this. But what I'm actually doing is I'm making something very special right now. I'm making something very special. And you are saying this because you are on the outside in. And so, yeah, it's going to look like that to you, right? It's going to look like that to you. Of course it's going to look like that to you because it's limiting your own access to me. Feminine's going to be experiencing this a lot easier. For the feminine, to a certain extent, a lot of this is watching a masculine and seeing if they can kind of navigate through this. Feminine was waiting for this. Masculine, this is going to feel like that challenging space. And again, for some of the masculine energy, you're going to like pop right back. You're going to pop right back into the separation frequency from it. Pop right back in. So, masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is the feminine energy that, again, this is why the feminine's healing this right now, because what is the feminine saying? If the feminine is recalling a situation or circumstance where the masculine wanted to stay in partnership without closing down their options, but not vice versa. This is a feminine that, again, if that observed, this is, again, a moment of feminine recognizing to a certain extent that what they're walking away from is still available. It's still available. This is the point. Feminine realizes that what they had was still available. This is feminine making the conscious choice to walk away from something because the situation is one, again, the reamplification of something that felt like it wasn't balanced. Because what is the situation that wasn't balanced? A masculine that could feel like they could do anything that they wanted, and a feminine that just had to stay on the shelf and wait for the masculine to decide that they wanted to be with the feminine. That is not the terms that the feminine wants to move into right now. The feminine is reaffirming that they're healing from a situation or circumstance where the masculine wanted to be able to have complete autonomy to do what they desired, and the feminine was just effectively in a space or place where they had to wait for the masculine to have a need of them to be able to access them. And this is effectively the feminine saying, I am healing from that type of relationship dynamic. That is not something that the feminine wants to move into. And that is how we see that the feminine in separation is continuing forward on their healing path right now. Masculine energy in separation right this is that moment that effectively is now feeling like a little bit of a shift, because you're potentially realizing that, again, you kept making these choices that you thought were opening up all of your options, and now the direction that you've moved into feels like there aren't any options available to you. It's feeling like a moment that, again, you're trying to heal right now, because something that you move towards right now has felt like you found this point that feels like it's become a blockage. It is an internal blockage. It is an internal hurdle. You are recognizing, and this is why it's so difficult for the masculine energy in this modality right now, you are recognizing your own limitations. And that is a moment, though, that can become empowering, because recognizing one's limitations, seeing one's limitations with clarity for masculine right now in separation, that is where the healing is coming through. And that is what is allowing you to make different choices for yourself moving forward. It is a moment of activation. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our 8 of Swords in combination with our 2 of Swords in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? What do we do when we hit an obstacle? What do we do when we hit an obstacle? Do we bemoan it? Do we dwell in that space? No. The observation of a hurdle and obstacle is the first step in freeing oneself of that limiting belief, of that limiting situation. This is that moment of, again, masculine and feminine in divine union right now. You're doing a lot of this work. It starts. This is going to feel like a lot of unpacking for the energy in divine union and partnership right now, because it is having a deep level of assessment in what feels like it is limiting you, but also to find that point of productivity, to free yourself of anything that feels like it is a non-helpful or self-limiting aspect or belief of the self, to be able to build that stronger foundation going forward. And so, yeah, it feels like, again, this is like masculine finally being able to use that hammer to a certain extent, because this is basically the masculine, like, again, looking right now, identifying, feminine potentially even opening up right now, being a little bit more expressive on what they've been experiencing to help the masculine, like, build that sense of strength. The stability for the divine union energy is the fact that the divine union is allowing for this type of unpacking to occur. It's already present. It's almost created a safe space. The divine union is the safe space to do a lot of this internal unpacking. Masculine and feminine. And it starts with those spaces and places that feel like they're problematic. They feel like they're confining, not just externally, but internally. Masculine and feminine right now that are and again, this is going to feel like the difference between like a personal barrier or a wall. This is looking at something right now and asking oneself, is that barrier I'm feeling something that serves a perfect? Does it hold something? Does it hold something critical up? Does it hold something critical up? Or is it just limiting me? So this is a lot of that deeper work that's happening right now in the divine union frequency. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is that moment, I'm just going to say it, this is that moment that could potentially make or break this moving into the divine union frequency right now. Because again, There's something that's coming to the surface today, something that potentially is even being brought towards you from outside energies that is going to try to make you adjust your thinking and saying, are you really building something? Are you really building something, or are you limiting yourself? Are you limiting yourself, or are you building something? And for masculine and feminine right now, that's going to feel like a little bit of a challenging space. Feminine was a little bit more ready for it. Feminine is kind of like, again, we saw that the feminine was almost waiting for this, anticipating this to happen. That's why we see that the feminine energy was being so hesitant in getting their hopes up around something. Because now this is a feminine seeing the masculine hitting that challenging mode to see if the masculine can tolerate energy around them being like, are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure is that really what you want to do? It seems kind of confining to me. Doesn't seem like that's something you're building. It seems like something that's confining. And for the masculine experiencing right now, this is that struggle. That's that little fun struggle that you may be going through right now in doubt, and those seeds of doubt being planted around you right now that are asking you like, are you sure? And this is going to be, for some of the masculine, this is going to be seeing something and saying, I think you're saying that because you're just mad that you're not going to have access to me. I think that you don't like that this is forming because you're on the outside now and I'm creating something in here. Or this is masculine allowing oneself to take that bait, snapping yourself right back into separation. Grass is always greener. Some grass is always greener effect potentially rising up here today that needs to be navigated. Feminine in separation, this is why the feminine is not going back to situations or circumstances right now, because what we're effectively seeing is, again, this is a feminine energy that is affirming to themselves of what they're leaving behind, and they almost are looking at it from a point of pity. They're almost looking at it from a point of pity because the feminine is looking at something and being like, I can't form a divine union with an energy that's always looking and saying that the grass is always greener over there. This is a feminine that got some point of observation on seeing a potential energy that recognized that there was no building with them, because every time they tried to build with something, it was always that moment of feeling like they're trying to escape the thing that they're trying to build with them. This is a feminine saying, absolutely not. I told you, the consistency is the love. The consistency is the love. And the feminine is reminding themselves of that because they're almost seeing an energy of like a frog hopping lily pads between potentially a masculine. If this is a masculine that like on Monday says they want to be in union, and then on Tuesday starts to change their mind, and then on Wednesday is back again and saying, I decided I didn't want to change my mind. And then on Thursday is like, but then I talked to this person and they made me. This is a feminine being like, no, that is the lack of integrity. That is the lack of love. You don't do it because it's easy. You do it because you choose and you maintain that vibration. And this is feminine saying enough of that. Masculine energy in separation right now, you may be seeing this in yourself. You may be recognizing, seeing something from a different perspective, and you may be getting a sense that that was something that you may have had a tendency of doing in the past. But again, the benefit here, if this is occurring, is this moment that we are effectively seeing that is showing to a certain extent this point of observation for masculine. And again, the benefit here is a limitation of the self that is recognized, is something that can be fixed. So for the masculine energy and separation right now, this is that moment that we are effectively seeing that is creating this point of, again, this is the masculine building a sense in separation right now of commitment to yourself on what it is you're actually trying to build, what it is you're trying to grow. And it's starting foundation up. This is giving a lot of fresh start energy for masculine. And all of it's kind of coming from this sense of purpose that you're giving yourself as you proceed forward from this point. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between King of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Six of Cups. May I please have one card to clarify? We love this. Nine of Swords in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy right now. And this is the beauty of the divine union and partnership. Masculine isn't feeling super strong right now. There's some things that are happening that are making them feel a lack of confidence, potentially even energy right now if in divine union related to outside energies, situations and circumstances revolved around friends, family, things that feel like they're on rocky terrain to a certain extent. The partnership itself is the point of catharsis because this is that moment of, again, the easing of the grief. The masculine knows that the divine union is one that, again, doesn't create more grief. It allows for that place or space to hold for them. It's a safe space for the masculine to express their doubts, their fears, their uncertainties, almost immediately feeling that point of catharsis. Feminine seeing the masculine in that modality right now and almost reaching out that hand and saying, what can I do to help in that way? Amplifying that sense that whatever the masculine is experiencing right now, this is almost feminine immediately saying, you realize that you're not in this alone. You realize that I'm here for you. You realize that I'm here in any capacity. Just say the need. And feminine's like, I will be here to help you with this. Masculine, you may also be seeing this right now, again, from a feminine. But one of the problems that we're seeing right now for masculine is, again, almost this moment that something that you're experiencing outside of the self right now may be feeling overwhelming enough that you may be feeling like you might not necessarily be able to, be there for the feminine as much as you would aspire and desire to. But again, almost immediately recognizing that the divine union is one that, again, it doesn't require you to throw all your time, effort, and energy in. It just needs you to articulate where you are. And it will accommodate and adjust for that. Masculine and feminine that are moving into divine union or partnership. What we are effectively seeing right now is this moment that, again, this is the make or break point. This is another make or break point that's potentially happening right now for the energy coming into divine union. Because what we are effectively seeing at this moment is, again, feminine is watching. Feminine, and this is what's going to feel a little bit harder right now for the energy of divine union. This is why feminine is watching divine masculine and some of the energy around the divine masculine accommodate and adjust for this shift that's happening in the masculine stepping back from some things right now. And feminine is watching the masculine to see if the masculine's own confidence in what they offered them is flagging in the face of the energy around them, not necessarily laying out the red carpet in hearing that the masculine is moving into divine union right now. Feminine's almost like, of course they're not. Of course they're not. And this is that moment that we're effectively seeing that the feminine is watching to see. The feminine is watching to see if masculine is going to go through this gauntlet right now, and whether the masculine is going to see it for what it is and almost, again, continue forward and not care and say whatever to them, or if the masculine is going to come back to the feminine with their confidence shake. Maybe we should slow things down. Maybe there's that point of resistance, pulling back on what they wanted to effectively say to the feminine, because this is now a feminine that's trying to see if this is a masculine energy that moves in the direction of whatever the energy around them wants, or if this is a masculine energy that recognizes that to create something, you have to have that backbone. You have to have a little bit of that spine. You have to have that moment that you have to affirm in the face of naysayers, in the face of those who doubt you, and saying, I'm going to do it anyway. Thank you for the note. I appreciate your feedback, but having that moment right now is either a moment for feminine to see whether this is actually going to stay in the divine union vibration, or if this is a masculine that they're almost watching the masculine being pulled away. And this is the worst part for the feminine, being pulled away by forces that the masculine can't even see, away from the feminine. This is almost the feminine watching the masculine being pulled away, and the feminine feeling the anxiety and frustration of being this masculine can't even see what's happening. This masculine can't even see that is happening, versus the masculine that's yeah, it was really weird. I told them and they didn't seem to take it well, but I told them I'm really happy. And then I was if you're not happy for me, I don't know why. Feminine's either seeing one or two of those narratives today, and that's going to give the feminine all the clarity they need as to whether this is actually moving into divine union or not. Feminine energy and separation. This is why the feminine is effectively just releasing this. Because again, this is a feminine that either, again, if you just watch this happen, you're like, well, yeah, that this masculine energy is never going to be in divine union because they're too easily influenced by the energy of around them. This is literally watching a masculine and almost feeling like a point of pity and being like, this masculine energy, they're like the wind. They're like a leaf in the wind, and wherever their wind blows, that's where they're going to go. And they don't even see the fact that until they put that stake in the ground, until they actually like decide what they want, they're never going to be in that modality. And feminine almost feeling like a point of surrender to the situation and say, I can't do that. I can't change a masculine into that. I can't even show them it's happening. This is almost the feminine coming into that point of surrender and saying a masculine needs to learn how to build that sense of integrity for themselves, because feminine saying, I can't do it for them. And worse, feminine realizes and recognizes that to try to amplify that to the masculine would just feed into whatever narrative is pulling them away in the first place, right? It's a feminine being like, it's unwinnable. It's an unwinnable situation because it's almost the feminine can't even show that to the masculine that it's happening because it almost just feeds into what they're being told. It's like, can't do anything about it. Feminine's just saying, that's it. That's all she needs to see. Again, the lack of consistency is the lack of love. That's what the feminine's saying as they move forward from this point. Masculine energy in separation right now, this is going to feel heavy. And this could be a moment right now where there's not just this moment of like looking at your own self right now, but you're having this point of optics in terms of something that has potentially been brought to your attention about yourself that you're ready to potentially recognize and embody. But again, it's having you look at some situations and circumstances around you right now with a different set of optics. And that is something that, again, is either going to feel like a point of catharsis, or it's going to feel like a point of like, anxiety and doubt coming to the surface. We also see here that there's something going through right now with the masculine where some of these doubts and internal situations that you're experiencing right now, it's requiring you to do a lot of this internal work. It's not even something to an extent that you feel like you can like amplify and articulate to others right now. Because again, it's like you're in this moment of kind of questioning everything right now, but also getting a level of clarity as you do so. So again, this is that process of understanding the self, but it is feeling to a certain extent for some of the masculine going through this right now, it could be feeling like a little bit of an overwhelming or humbling experience as you navigate it, because it's observing something with a different set of optics that immediately provides clarity, but it also changes your perspective on things. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now. Between our Six of Cups in its transverse in combination with our Magician card. May I please have one card to clarify? We've got here our Two of Wands. So, masculine and feminine in divine union and partnership right now. This is what we're seeing about the fact of that point of productivity being reached. And a lot of this is almost coming through right now as this point of planning. It's all about moving things into a point of productivity. For some of this right now, a lot of the energy and I have to say for a lot of the energy in divine union and partnership right now, this is like kind of getting pulled out of your own headspace right now by some situations and circumstances outside the partnership itself that require some kind of adjustment or planning. For masculine and feminine right now, there's almost this like point of accommodation being reached that's requiring some of these changes to occur right now. So we do see that a lot of this is almost, again, for some of masculine and feminines, if you've been going through a lot of internal work right now between yourselves, this is almost shelving it to a certain degree to be able to navigate some like outside situations and circumstances that demand your attention. Masculine and feminine, it's not going to feel as mission critical because like, it's almost like the only problem or hurdle here is like a point of accommodation in terms of communication and planning. Masculine and feminine, that are coming into divine union right now, this is a moment that we are potentially identifying that is, again, this is the question as to whether the divine union is going to form. This is whether you're going to be able to stay in that frequency. Feminine is watching. Feminine is watching masculine. Feminine is watching this happen to see which direction masculine goes in. If this is a masculine that's getting pulled away from feminine by the energy around them right now, that would prefer them to be in a state or space of autonomy, or is this masculine right now that potentially recognizes and sees that that's happening? One or the other. This is literally feminine watching right now and seeing if that happens. And feminine, again, this is why we see that the feminine is almost like not saying anything about it. Feminine knows they can't. Feminine knows to a certain extent that this is something that the masculine has to do for themselves. Feminine can't guide them in this. Feminine can't even articulate it to them. Feminine can just kind of watch. Feminine's watching, and feminine's waiting to see what the masculine communicates. Masculine, you're experiencing this. You're having some energy right now, and potentially you're sharing your plans. You're telling them like what's occurring. And it's weird, right? It's like, it's not giving you like this rah-rah. It's not giving you this like, oh, that's great. It's going, oh, that's great. Why do you say it like that? No reason. Well, why? Well, I don't know. It just seems like, really? If that's what's happening today, masculine, this is potentially why. And we are seeing here for the masculine, this is now that moment that is amplifying whether you're going to kind of take the bait on it, whether you're going to be like, you got a point there. You got a point. Or if you're looking at it being like, why are you so interested? Why are you so concerned? Why are you so invested in something I'm telling you makes me happy? Why are you trying to rain on my parade? For masculine in this modality right now, this is that moment. You're going to fall on one of the two different sides, and whether you do depends on whether you stay in the divine union frequency or whether you pop right back into separation. For the energy of the feminine, if this is the moment that pops back into separation, feminine's like, I see it. And this is further amplification to feminine that this masculine energy is not ready for divine union because the consistency is the love. And this is a masculine that desire to move into divine union was a passing wind, a passing breeze, a momentary experience. They were on a lark, and now the wind is pulling them in another direction. And so now this is a masculine that is changing their mind about what they want. And this is a feminine saying, so long for now. Feminine literally saying like, that's fine. The only thing consistent the feminine is saying in that modality is the consistency. This is almost the feminine being like, hello, nice to see you for a minute. Bye again. And feminine just being like, okay. Onwards, literally. And almost feminine reaffirming, if this was happening, that this is exactly the type of energy that's in that modality. And that there is something here that will not change. Now, the other part of the feminine energy right now, if this is the opposite, if this is the masculine that's looking at something right now and is like, yeah, it was really weird. I told them about us. I told them about what we're doing. And they were all weird about it. And this is the feminine energy feeling the relief because this is the feminine being like, this is moving into divine union. Because this is the feminine being like, yeah, that's weird, isn't it? I wonder why that is. Maybe they don't want to see you in partnership. This is the masculine that's allowing this moment, and feminine being like, thank goodness. Like this is that affirmation of feminine realizing that the masculine can see it too. Now, masculine and feminine in separation. If the feminine's seeing what's part of the masculine, feminine's almost like, feminine is literally, if feminine's seeing this, feminine realizes they can't do anything about it. Because this is the feminine almost being like, if I say anything about this, it's just going to amplify whatever goofiness they put in your ear. Then this is the feminine being like, okay, this is not coming into divine union. Feminine is potentially even experiencing and remembering periods in the past of energy in this modality and seeing that. But it's also reaffirming to feminine why feminine is looking forward with that memory of masculine that felt, and this is the worst part about the feminine remembering this is a feminine looking at a masculine who they know feels like they're in control of themselves, that they are the masters of their own territory, that they are the ones that decide what they are going to do going forward, that they are the archetypes and the archetypes of their experience. And feminine's going, no, you're not. No, he wasn't. No, they weren't. That person was just doing whatever the energy around them wanted them to do, and they didn't even see the fact that they were so easily influenced. So for the feminine, this is again that point of catharsis that is allowing for them to continue forward in this way. Masculine energy in separation right now. This is that moment that we're potentially seeing, and some of it has to do with this moment that you're potentially feeling between the difference in terms of what you've articulated, some energy around you versus what it is that you really want right now. And this is potentially also a hurdle that we're seeing right now, because this could be a masculine that feels to a certain extent masculine. You may be feeling you were saying one thing to someone, but what you effectively desire and aspire for is very different from what you're saying. So now it's almost this moment right now of masculine feeling the fact that something that you've said in the past no longer fits with what you want now, because you've changed your own opinion on things, because you've changed your own perspective on your own accountability in something. So this is why we see that this is an additional hurdle, because again, it is that moment of feeling the fact that the energy around you may not necessarily be on board or in like the same vibration that you're in now, because you've been changing your own opinion. You've been changing your own modality. The only thing consistent is the change. But we also see here it's that point of observation that may be helping you right now in terms of communicating and recognizing that. So this is either something that you are taking forward as a lesson or something that you're ready to amplify and communicate to those around you. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Magician card in combination with our Three of Pentacles. How many is this? 3 cards. 3 cards coming up for clarification, okay? Clarification between these is, wow, what did I just say? Okay, I'm just going to start with the masculine energy and separation right now, because this is all about the masculine energy and separation right now. So again, the masculine energy and separation, this is just literally the continuation of what I said, because it's confusing. Where the masculine is in separation right now is potentially very confusing, not just to the masculine, but it's almost this point of observation in terms of anything around the masculine right now that needs to be rearticulated. Because this is masculine that's gone through a shift in separation now in terms of having a better understanding of the self. And that, in effect, has changed what you desire at this time. And it's feeling like a big recalibration point. And one of the things that may be happening right now for a lot of the masculine energy is almost having to articulate to some of the energy around you that you're making some adjustments in your plans, because effectively you've changed your mind. And almost having to explain to the energy around you, you changed your mind because like you've gone through this upgrade. Your priorities just shifted in a really big way. And now it's like the whole landscape has changed. You're like doing things in a different way. That is when I told you, even in separation right now, for a lot of this masculine energy, when I said that shift was happening right now, regardless of whether or not you're in partnership, this is almost feeling like it's a lot more confusing for the masculine in separation right now, because it's almost like requiring a lot of accommodations being made in the energy around you right now that feel potentially even counterintuitive to things that you've said. Your landscape is changing. Your decisions are changing. Your conviction has changed over the last few days. And this is effectively you recognizing how you have to put it into practice. And it is going to feel a little bit antithetical to potentially some things that you desired prior to this. And it's having to communicate that is going to create that problem point. It's like, how do you come into that? How do you come into such an abrupt readjustment, right? That's what we're seeing for a lot of the masculine energy in separation right now, regardless of the direction you're going in. Feminine energy in separation right now, this is feminine energy, leaving that type of energy behind. This is feminine energy, almost again, having this point of observation in terms of feeling like the energy that they're leaving behind was energy that was, again, not significantly concentrating. The only thing consistent about the energy in the past was the inconsistency. It was the desire to constantly change. It was the desire not to have consistency. And this is the feminine saying, moving forward, feminine is looking for masculine energy that shows that level or degree of consistency, that can hold a cup on rocky water without spilling it everywhere, that can navigate a rough wind, that can navigate energy that may be telling them other things, but holding fast on their emotions, not letting their emotions get disrupted by the energy around them, but holding the consistency of the emotion even on rough waters. And that is what we see here of the feminine being recognizing the difference of what they're moving towards right now. And this is the feminine, again, reaffirming and saying, that is in the past. That is behind me. That is not what I'm no longer building for right now. I am looking for energy that is, again, consistency in the offer, consistency in the offer of the emotion, regardless of the energy around them. Masculine and feminine moving into partnership right now. This is literally the feminine having to sit there and decide if this is happening. This is literally seeing if a masculine energy, beyond the masculine energy's own like immediate desire, if they've actually changed, because this is the masculine feminine saying, is this something that you show me you can change quickly? Is all you can do? Can all you do is change? Can all you do is shapeshift to the energy around you right now? Can all you do is accommodate and become what's around you? So if the energy around you starts to give doubt about whether you do something, you're just going to go ahead and listen to them. Or are you going to show that you have the ability to hold fast when things get difficult? Are you going to have a moment when people ask you or question you and say, are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure? I don't know. That doesn't seem like the right thing to do. Really? Okay, I didn't take you for that kind of person. I didn't take you for someone. You didn't seem like the relationship type. Okay. If this is a masculine energy that doesn't see that their own adaptability is the problem. This is the feminine now seeing right now, if this is a masculine who's left that over adaptability in the past, if they've actually grown into this by, again, them articulating and saying, yeah, it was weird. They were all like, really like everyone I brought up to around this. They were all like, really? That? Them? That? What? Huh? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. If the masculine's in that modality, feminine's like, he's changed. He's not just following what everyone's telling them to do. This is a masculine that can handle a rough water. And it doesn't change their conviction. They stand in integrity. Or the feminine is moving right back into separation by seeing a masculine that's like, well, I was talking to somebody. I trust them a lot. I was talking to them and they told me they didn't really think it was probably, I don't know. Like, this is feminine energy being like, yeah, I know. That's because you don't have the autonomy in your life. You do what other people tell you to do. But again, not even being able to amplify that to them. Just seeing that it's happening and just saying, okay, cool. Sure. All right. No, I get it. Feminine and masculine energy in partnership. But for the other part of the feminine energy that's seeing this, again, masculine being like, yeah, they told me no, and I told them to go to heck. I'm happy. Feminine's going, great. Divine union. We can come into divine union. Masculine and feminine energy in divine union. This is why we see that the feminine is so feeling the security and stability of the divine union energy itself. Because this is a feminine energy. Again, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Of a feminine seeing the difference of having a masculine energy that knows what they want and is willing to hold fast in that and is not rocked by anything around them as it relates to what they're creating. There's a consistency. There is a confidence in the energy of the masculine and divine union, because this is a masculine that does not build for the sake of others. They're creating for the sake of knowing what it is that they truly want. And for the feminine, that is actually a masculine that's embodying both of these characteristics. Their desire, their emotions are crafting and creating the world that they're experiencing right now. And that is creating the moment for the feminine in that modality, that they feel the strength, they feel the confidence of what they are creating with masculine in that modality, that is helping the feminine feel supported as they proceed forward from this point. Masculine energy in divine union, this is why we see that the divine union is so valuable to you right now, because this is a moment that, again, you feel that point of abundance. You feel that point of security. It's not a state or space that doesn't allow for your own adaptability and change. It's a moment that you're coming more in touch with your own emotions. And in a way, that emotionality, that ability to be your most expressive version of yourself is refortifying your confidence in what you are creating in the divine union itself. The divine union does not feel like it's a limiting place. It is a place that feels anything what you desire can exist within it, because it's creating that space for you. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our Nine of Swords in its reversal and our Two of Wands, okay? Clarification coming through right now with Two of Cups in its reversal. Masculine and feminine that are in divine union and partnership right now. I'm actually seeing one of the issues that's effectively happening right now for the energy in divine union doesn't even necessarily need to revolve around the energy of the divine union. It is helping energy around you that are going through points of fracture. There's a lot of this energy right now of the divine union energy helping energy around them that is in need in this capacity. It's almost this moment that we're seeing that is requiring the divine union energy to step in, to intervene, to lend some level or degree of assistance with energy that is going through some of these hurdles within their own self right now. And it's almost this moment that we see here. This is almost the fact that the divine union itself is almost becoming a bit of like a lighthouse, if you will. Shelter in the storm to help through any circumstances or situations of energy around them that is in need in this capacity. Feminine and masculine in this modality, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, is almost trying to help right now, both in mending fences in situations and circumstances that they want to be able to heal in right now, or again, observing situations and circumstances outside or beyond them that they feel are not having that ability or degree of coming into a better partnership. Masculine and feminine is weighing a lot of, having to deal with a lot of outside karmic rifts right now. But a lot of that is determining if there's spaces and places that can be healed or if they need to be released. Masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union right now, this is literally the make or break moment. This is literally the make or break moment for the energy of divine union, because again, this is feminine watching masculine to see how masculine is handling the outside influence of the energy on the divine union, to see if masculine is going to protect the union and tell feminine about the energy that's potentially saying like doubts, fears, things that they're saying, or if this is a moment of masculine stepping away from divine union because they're too easily influenced by outside energy. They're too easily influenced by the energy that feels like they have something to stand to lose, to see that masculine energy in divine union. And that is that moment that feminine's like, there's no possibility, like feminine can't even articulate on it. Feminine can't even articulate because it just amplifies it. And that's that moment that like, you know, the feminine just kind of looks at it and again moves right back into separation and casts their is recognizing, continuing forward, looking for new opportunities, looking for new possibilities, with that feeling that this energy can never come into partnership because they're far too easily influenced by the energy around them. Masculine energy, if in coming into partnership now, this is either going to feel like a moment of clarity and catharsis and purpose, or a moment of doubt coming into play. Again, a moment of doubt coming into play, potentially, again, this moment of recognizing and seeing, trying to go towards people and to share your information, to share your good news, trying to go to others and say, like, I've got great news. This is happening in my life. And again, if the energy around you isn't like, oh, yay, if they're like, oh, okay, that's weird. Again, either that moment that you let that doubt sow the seed of doubt in you, or if you see it for what it is. If you see it and go, why are you so concerned with me coming into union? Why is that? And this is that moment that we see for masculine. This is either recognizing, and again, holding fast to the divine union and recognizing that not everybody may potentially want to see you in divine union because it doesn't serve their purposes, or this is a moment that you find yourself slipping back into the separation vibration, being like, ugh, yeah, you got a point. No, I mean, yeah, I guess so. Yeah. No, I mean, it might be like that. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. And that's the moment you're back into separation. So, continuing to get feminine, this is exactly why feminine is not hesitating. And some of this could be painful because feminine's remembering either periods in the past where this happened, or feminine just saw this happen. Feminine's watching it happen, and feminine's moving back into separation and feeling like they can't necessarily say or do anything because this is a masculine that doesn't see the energy in their own life that influences and affects their choices. This is a feminine that sees a masculine that doesn't have autonomy in their own life, but feels like they do. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Two of Wands in combination with our Judgment card in its reversal, in combination with our King of Cups, in combination with our Nine of Cups. Lots of cards here. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with our High Priestess energy, and we love to see this. Now, masculine and feminine that are in divine union and divine partnership right now, this is why we see that the divine union and partnership is so stable. Look at this power couple energy. Look at this power couple. We've got here masculine energy in divine union that's found emotional balance. They found an ability in space, a safe place for them to be their most authentic expression and vulnerable expression of self, but finding that point of balance in doing so, feeling their expression, their emotional expression, and not having that need to have it overwhelmed because they're not looking at it from a point of fear, but feeling that point of acceptance that they are learning from a feminine that is very in tune with their own spiritual aspect. Utilizing this, sharing their own emotions with the feminine to get those points of advice and insight and clarity to help them navigate that journey. This is a masculine that feels a point of abundance in divine union because it creates that point of not necessarily needing to be perfect, but almost constant recalibration, learning that flow state that allows them to plan and move forward with a state of, again, constant adjustment, constant accountability, recognizing that those shifts aren't things to be feared, but something that can be navigated and handled. Feminine seeing the masculine in this modality, and again, feeling like they're in a state or space where they can maintain a point of, again, that higher logical insight. Feeling like it is safe for them to be in that modality as well, because there's a masculine energy that's giving them emotional support along the way. A lot of the energy coming towards them right now is utilizing this to help have a point of reconsideration, potentially on situations and circumstances from the past, seeing them with new optics to determine how to proceed forward from this point. Masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union right now, this is that moment that if the masculine had some points of someone coming towards the masculine and questioning the masculine's choice, if the masculine lets that questioning drop them out of the frequency, then they're out of the frequency. You're not coming into divine union. But if this is a masculine that looks at that point of someone trying to get them to question their choice and observes it and sees it for what it is, which is someone trying to get them to question their choice. This is masculine instead, feeling all of the abundance, feeling like it doesn't even, not even like a fly. It feels like something like they don't even recognize it because it seems so absurd. Because it's a masculine being like, of course, why would you even ask me that? That's a very strange thing to ask me. Why would you even question if I want to move towards this when I just told you that I did? Then this is a masculine that is actually ready for divine union. A masculine, you may be feeling that shift because the outside opinions don't matter to you. The only opinion that matters is the energy that you're moving into divine union with. Again, that energy of, again, you take that point of critique and you bring it to the feminine and say, something really weird happened to me today. Someone tried to get me to question this. And it's almost that moment of, again, this is the union that is forming here that is making you more perceptive on the energy around you that's trying to guide your direction. Feminine, if you're seeing the masculine do this, if masculine's even coming to you and articulating how they said something about you guys moving into union and somebody was like weird about it, feminine's immediately feeling relief because feminine's going, he didn't take the bait. He actually wants union, because this is something where, again, feminine is feeling like they are creating something that is unilateral and masculine isn't being pulled away by the tides. This is a masculine that is holding firm in what it is that they truly want, which is the divine union. Feminine that is in separation from this is that moment of feminine affirming that they're staying in separation from this, because this is a feminine remembering that a good energy for divine union would never be influenced by the outside opinions of others. That the feminine energy recognizes that an energy that truly wants to be in divine union is going to see the outside opinions as others, as someone trying to take away from the happiness of the masculine instead of the other way around. And this is a feminine that, again, is affirming and saying to themselves that point of conviction and recognizing that they can't show someone that that's happening. They just need to seek someone else they need to manifest. Feminine's working to manifest an energy that knows what it is that they want and isn't affected or impacted by the energy around them as it relates to shifting their focus or shifting their priority. Masculine in separation right now. This is a moment that, again, this is feeling like a lot of this like deep spiritual and emotional upgrade right now happening for a lot of the masculine energy in separation. But it could feel right now, like I said, very difficult, because this point of epiphany, this point of self-understanding is giving you a new opinion on things that have happened in the past. And this is either a moment that you are looking at things with new optics. And this is a moment that, again, is either a point of looking at someone in the past with a heightened sense of appreciation, because you are seeing now something about yourself that you didn't recognize that they may have tried to tell you. Or and that is that moment of wanting to go back towards that, to come into that space of healing. Or this is a moment of, again, recognizing and understanding fully how much it took to come into this point of understanding for yourself. How much it took to be able to have this understanding. And even now, again, if not moving towards that energy, almost moving into a sense that you are changing your own opinion on what occurred and looking back towards that energy with a sense of appreciation, because now you are understanding the lesson that someone was trying to potentially give you in the past that you didn't necessarily weren't fully ready to embody and experience at that moment. Final card for today's spread between our Two of Cups in its reversal in combination with our High Priestess. May I please have one card to clarify? Two cards coming out to clarify. A lot of cards today. I'm not surprised to see this. Okay, we've got here masculine and feminine energy in divine union and partnership. We've got here our Six of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Four of Pentacles. There's a lot of energy coming towards masculine and feminine right now in divine union. There's a lot of responsibilities. There's a lot of obligations. Masculine and feminine are navigating these right now. The bigger question has to do with what you feel you want to continue to preserve right now, or what you feel like you need to release. It's really, and again, for the masculine and feminine in this modality right now, it's feeling like a little bit of a binary choice. It's like what feels like, and masculine and feminine are looking at this right now as it relates to any kind of energy around them that, again, feels like it is in need of some kind of healing. This could either be energy that's coming towards them for a point of advice, specifically the feminine energy, or these could be moments or opportunities of looking at any kind of energy around the masculine and feminine right now, of relationships, friendships, familial ties that feel like they're in need of mending. And this is that moment. Masculine, you may be having a lot of conversations with feminine during this time to really ascertain and assess what you need to hold on to versus what you just need to release because it doesn't feel like it is reciprocal. So for masculine and feminine, there could be a lot of these outside conversations right now as it relates to where you're putting your time, effort, and energy to see what feels like it's in the realm of possibility versus something that feels like it isn't as easy an energetic exchange. Masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union right now. Oh my gosh, please listen to me here. Please listen to me, okay? What are we seeing is happening right now for the energy in the divine union? There is energy that is questioning the union itself. It's questioning the validity of the partnership. It is trying to put some cracks here. Feminine is literally watching this happen, potentially seeing this happening, cannot say or do anything about it because this is feminine realizing that the more they say, it's like there's no positive here. This is why we see the feminine was like on this right now. This is the feminine effectively, again, watching a masculine have these doubts implemented, poured towards them. And this is the masculine. And again, feminine's watching the masculine to see where masculine's allegiance goes. Is this a masculine that is going to hold on and defend the divine union and look at something and say, why are you trying to take this away from me? This is something that I'm happy about. Or if this is a masculine that takes the bait. If this is a masculine that starts to pull away, it starts to pull back because they're letting those doubts, they're letting that outside energy ruin what they were about to create. And this is a feminine that if the feminine is seeing a masculine, how is feminine seeing that this is happening? If this is a masculine that immediately articulates and says, yeah, it was really weird. Like they started having all these questions about it. I didn't know why they were doing that. Feminine's like, I'll tell you why. Feminine's like, now that you've asked me, let me tell you what my opinion on. And masculine going, why do you think that was? And feminine being like, well, since you asked, this would be my take on it. Or this is a feminine that's just watching it happen. And feminine knows they can't even say anything to them about it. Feminine knows they can't say anything because it's just going to feed into whatever the doubts are being fed in. So again, for feminine, this modality right now, this is potentially moving a lot of feminine right back into separation. But again, this is why feminine's looking at this, because feminine is almost getting feminine sees the full picture. Feminine sees all the things around why something may have, again, if this is feminine that's looking from situations in the past or present, something that just happened or past, feminine seeing all those parts around something on why something didn't happen, but it doesn't. Again, and this is the important thing for the feminine. Feminine recognizes. Feminine's not putting the fault in something not coming together on the energy around something. This is feminine recognizing that that is the fault of the masculine not having that integrity, allowing themselves to be moved by the crowd instead of holding on to their own personal point of integrity. And this is a feminine almost affirming to themselves that, again, even if the feminine's realizing this, being like, it's not the fault of the people around them. It's the fault of that person for not having that type of integrity. Masculine in separation right now. This is something, again, it's going to feel very heavy if you're in separation right now, because this is that point of optics. that's articulating and helping you see to a certain extent something in a way that you hadn't seen something before. Something coming through that you yourself may not necessarily have observed or experienced as it relates to some situations and circumstances from the past. Something that feels like a deeper sense of accountability, but not just, and this is where the problem's coming through, not just in your personal choices, but some of the choices of the energy that was around you at the time that you made those choices. But again, this is that moment that is amplifying your own sense of accountability. And this is either, again, coming from an energy of the past that brought you into this focus that you're now holding to a higher regard, or this is now a moment or commitment of wanting to move forward and build a bridge back towards this energy to articulate and amplify that you understand all of the things that they were trying to show you. Bottom of the deck on this reading right now is Four of Wands in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy in divine union or divine partnership right now. All of this has to do with the plans going forward right now. There's some kind of reaccommodation, adjustment of plans that are being made. There's something here that needs to be worked through. Masculine and feminine in divine union right now, this isn't going to feel as heavy. This is going to feel more like some minor inconveniences popping up, some surprises, some adjustments to schedules, some changes in plans. Nothing like groundbreaking. Masculine and feminine trying to come into divine union right now, this is groundbreaking. Because this is something that is trying to interrupt the flow of where something is moving. Whether that does or not is all going to depend on how the energy navigates it. Masculine and feminine in separation right now, there is this moment. This is a little bit more of that dark night of the soul coming through of in separation right now, because again, it is the sadness of loss of something that you feel was taken from you. And also recognizing in a way some feeling of pity or sadness to some of the energy that doesn't realize that like how it was taken from them as well, but not being able to like amplify and articulate it to them, because like in a way it's that point that it's like it's also their responsibility and recognizing something that like that, but almost seeing it in a way that like is hard or painful to like calibrate on. For masculine right now, it is this moment of observing something that may start to feel like you didn't necessarily have as much choice in something, so much as something as you're looking at all the facets on why something did not work out the way that you had hoped or intended. That is our daily collective read for today. Thank you so much for being here and experiencing it with me. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber ID at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I want to thank you guys so much for being here with me today and sharing with me in these messages. And we will do this again tomorrow.